Hi, welcome to my video on review 2 of inverse of functions. And this review is on videos numbers 13 to 21. And the total for this review, if you treat it as a quiz, is 29. So you give yourself marks for each question, total up each page, and put the result over 29 to get a percentage. Here we go. The inverse of a square root function is a blank function if the expression underneath the root is linear. If the expression underneath the root is linear, then you'll get a parabola of a square root is a parabola function, but it'll be on one side, left or right, less than or equal to the x-coordinate of the vertex, or greater than or equal to the x-coordinate of the vertex. So if you have parabola, give yourself 1. And now we have the f of x equals the root of x plus 1 plus 2, and the h of x is the negative half x plus 5. This is a root equation, which is related to half of a parabola, and this is a linear, y equals mx plus b. So, find the intersection of f to the negative 1 and h. So we'll make the f of x a y. We'll switch the x, the y to an x, and an x to a y. And we'll solve for y, so we'll move the 2 to the left. And when we do that, we'll get a square root, so we'll square both sides. So we get x minus 2 all squared equals y plus 1. So y is equal to x minus 2 all squared minus 1. So this is this is the inverse. But there's some restrictions here. And let's look up here. This is the starting point for this square root function. When x is negative 1, y is 2. So that means that for this function, that means that we have x is going to be greater than or equal to negative 1, and the y is going to be greater than or equal to 2. So the negative 1, if you let x plus 1 be greater than or equal to 0, that means x is greater than or equal to negative 1. Because underneath the root, these numbers got to be greater than or equal to 0. So when negative 1 starts it, so you get negative 1 give you 0, y is 2, and because that's plus, it'll go greater than or equal to 2. So that means in your inverse, your domain, which is x is greater than or equal to negative 1, becomes your range greater than or equal to negative 1. And your range is y is greater than or equal to 2 in the f of x, so that's your domain. X is greater than or equal to 2. So if we switch, domain becomes the range becomes the domain. So we're looking at the values of x greater than or equal to 2. So let's find f to the negative 1 of x equals, so we want to find the the intersection of this inverse and the h of x. We'll let the equations equal each other. So we have x minus 2 squared minus 1 is equal to negative a half x plus 5. So we'll solve this. To do that, we have to do PEMDAS first. We have to square this binomial, so that gives us x squared. Product is negative 2, double is negative 4x. Negative 2 squared is plus 4, minus 1, negative a half x plus 5. And we can simplify each side first. It's wise to simplify the left and the right side before you transpose. But not only that, let's multiply this by 2, because we have a fraction. Multiply by the LCD, so we get a 2x squared minus 8x plus 6, and that's a negative x plus 10. Now we have the fraction gone. You can multiply both sides by 2 to eliminate the fractions. Sometimes fractions give trouble, so we'll move all terms to the left side equal to 0. The reason, because we got a quadratic, so we got x squared minus 7x minus 4 equals 0. So the product, we have 2. If this is a 1, the product would be negative 4, sum is negative 7. Because that's a 2, the product is the A times the C. So it's the 2 times the negative 4. There's the A, that's the B, that's the C. So the product is negative 8. And the sum is the middle term, negative 7. So what's the factors of 8? 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. So which pair of factors will multiply to give you negative 8 and add to give you negative 7? Well, that's negative 8 times 1, multiply. You get negative 8, add, you get negative 7. So that's a negative 8x, oops, make that an 8. Negative 8x plus 1x minus 4. So I'll replace the negative 7x with a negative 8x plus 1. Now I'll take out the 2x in the first two terms. So that gives us x minus 4. Take out the plus 1 in the next two terms. It gives x minus 4. So we have an x minus 4, which is a GCF, binomial GCF. So when you take out the x minus 4, you get a 2x. Take out the x minus 4, you get a plus 1. So there's two terms, x minus 4 equals 0, or 2x plus 1 equals 0. X is 4, and here 2x equals negative 1, divided by 2x is a negative a half. Now, we got two values of x, but we look at this restriction because it's, again, your range here is your domain here, so the x values got to be greater than or equal to 2. So we can't look at this one because that's less than 2. So we look at x equals 4. So let's sub this into the h of x, because the h of x, or I could put it in here, this expression, or this expression. So y equals negative a half x plus 5. So let's put the 4 in here. So y equals half of 4 is 2, but it's negative. So y is 3. So if x is 4, y is 3, that's the point of intersection of the inverse and the h of x. And again, there's looking at the marks. So if you have this equation, here you give yourself 2 marks. If you let them equal each other, you get a mark. If you worked it down to this equation here, you get 2 marks. And if you got each of these answers here, you give yourself 2 marks. And if you rejected this one, you get a mark. If you picked this one and worked it out to 3, you get another mark. And hopefully 9 marks is there. If you got all right, you got 9 marks. I like to give marks going through, because you could make an error right here, but you still got the process done right, so you should get at least half marks. So that's 9 marks in total. Number 3, which one is false for the horizontal line test? The y values of the points are not repeated. That's true. The y values are not repeated, because if the y values are repeated, a horizontal line will pass through it. So we only should pass through 1 point. Horizontal line passes through 2 points. That's false. If the horizontal line passes through 2 or more points, then it fails the horizontal line test. And so the answer is B. Give yourself a mark. Each value of y has only one value of x. That's true. So we got 11 for that page if you totaled it up. Okay, let's continue. Which one has its inverse a function? By drawing the horizontal lines through the graph, the horizontal line passes through 2 points, then its inverse won't have a function, because the horizontal line, when you do an inverse, will become a vertical. So this is a no. We got 2 points here with the same y values. The horizontal line passes through 2 points, so that's a no. Again, that horizontal line becomes vertical, so its inverse won't be a function. Now this is a decay curve, and as x goes to infinity, y is going to 0. So we draw a line, goes, no matter what horizontal line you draw, it'll only go through one point. So the answer is C. And just to look at this one, we have a circle whose center is 0, 0, and r squared is 4. So r is plus or minus 2, but the radius is 2. So we have a circle whose center is 0, 0, with a radius of 2. There it is. But it fails the horizontal line test, so it's inverse. You'll have an inverse of it, but it won't be a function. So the answer is C. Give yourself a mark. State two restrictions on the f of x equals x minus 3 all squared, so that its inverse is not a function. Okay, let's look at, we have a vertex of 3, 0. So let's look at the graph. X coordinate is 3. Let's say there, 3, 0. This is a plus, so it opens up. So there it is there. So the restriction is the x coordinate of the vertex. X equals 3. So the restriction is on the axis of symmetry, or the x coordinate of the vertex. So the restriction is at 3. So the left side is x is less than or equal to 3, which is this part here. So if you only take this part, it passes the horizontal line test. If you take the other side, x is greater than or equal to 3, which is this one, then that piece will pass the horizontal line test, so its inverse will be a function. So there's the two restrictions. Give yourself 2 marks if you're right. Number 6, the h of x equals this trinomial. State the restrictions on the h of x, which represents the left side, whose inverse is a function. Notice this is a parabola. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we let the h of x, we're not doing an inverse, so we let the h of x, or we call it y. So we're going to factor out the negative 2. X squared plus 6x minus 19. So I took the x squared, or negative 2, out of the first term. So I'll make the coefficient 1. Now I want to complete the square with a coefficient of 1, so half of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9. The 9 is put here, but really I put in a negative 18, because negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. So that's a non-balance. So to balance it, I put a plus 18. So the h of x is equal to negative 2. And this is the perfect square trinomial, so it's an x. A half of plus 6 is a plus 3, so x plus 3 squared is this trinomial, minus 1. So the vertex of this parabola is negative 3, negative 1. And as a result, I'll just draw a quick sketch. X is negative 3, y is negative 1. And because this is negative, the parabola opens down. There it is. So it's split right here at the axis of symmetry. X equals negative 3. So the left side is this side. So the left side is x is less than or equal to negative 3. So if you have this equation with its vertex, give yourself a mark. If you stated that answer, give yourself a mark. So 2 marks altogether. So 5 in total for that page. Let's continue. Hopefully you understand the unit on the inverses. And now we have the f of x is a negative cube root of x minus 1 plus 2. We want to graph the inverse f to the negative x. So the f of x is a y. First thing I do is change the f of x, or the function notation, to a y. We switch the y to an x, and an x to a y. Now we got to solve it for y. So x minus 2 negative cube root of y minus 1. And we do the negative of each side. Negative times the negative is positive, so we get the cube root of y minus 1. And we'll do the negative of x minus 2. I could have multiplied negative 1 by both of these, got negative x plus 2, but I left it like that. Now I'm going to cube both sides. So negative cube is a negative. and we get an x minus 2 cubed. And the cube root of y minus 1 cubed is y minus 1. So negative x minus 2 cubed plus 1 equals y. So this is f to the negative 1 of x. There it is. And the values of x that are in this graph, you can use any value of x in here because there's no restriction. So x can be greater than, x is not like a parabola. So x, you can use any, because you can do the cube root of a positive number or a negative number. So x belongs to the reals. And as a result of using any value of x, the y's also belongs to the reals. So that means in the restriction, it's reals also. So this is the inverse is a cubic graph, and the y's are no restrictions. So let's do a little table of values on the inverse. So we're doing it in terms of this one right here. So x's, we take the x to be, let's see, where x is, let's use 2, we're in the middle. So if I use 2, I get a 0. 0 cubed is 0, so I get a 1. Let's do a 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 cubed is 1. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. And try 4. What do we get for 4? And 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 cubed is 8. Negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. And let's try 1. Put a 1 in here, and I get negative 1. Negative 1 cubed is negative 1. Negative of negative is positive, so that gives me a 2. And try one more 0. Put a 0 here, and I get a negative 2. Negative 2 cubed is negative 8. Negative of a negative 8 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. So we graph that. So we get x is 4, which is here. We get a 7. So just taking up right there. X is 3, which is here. X is 3, y is 0. Be careful now. X is, look what I did. I said x is 4, y is 7. It's negative 7. X is 4, y is negative 7 is down here. Those little errors. Why do I make those little errors? 3 gives you 0 when x is 3, y is 0. When x is 2, y is 1. When x is 1, y is 2. When x is 0, y is 9. So this is a sideways S, but it's coming up from the bottom. So it comes up, it swings into here, it swings out. So sorry about that little error there. So there's the graph. So 6 marks for this. So if you have this inverse done as far as here, you get 3 marks correctly. If you did the table of values, you get a mark. And if you did the graph and you get this little loop here, here's your graph, you get a mark. If you did this little bend coming in here like this is a sideways S, you get another mark. 6 marks in total. And let's have a look at number 8. The P of X is a cube root, and the G of X is a square root, and we want to find the points of intersection of their inverses. So we'll let P of X be a Y, and we'll switch the X's into Y's. Now we'll solve for Y, so we'll do the cube and the cube of each side, so x cubed equals y minus 4. The cube up the cube root is the y minus 4, so y is equal to x cubed plus 4. X cubed plus 4. Okay, so that's its inverse. That's p to the negative 1 of x. That's x cubed plus 4. Now let's do the g of x. change the g of x to a y, write down the equation. Switch the y to an x and an x to a y. Because, again, we switch them because they're reflecting in the line y equals x. Now I got to solve for y, so it's x plus 2 equals square root of y plus 4. And I square both sides. So x plus 2 squared. So the square root of y plus 4 squared is y plus 4. So y is equal to x plus 2 squared minus 4. Now, we want to find the point of intersection of their inverses. So that means that x cubed plus 4 is equal to x plus 2 squared minus 4. And we have to solve this equation, so we have to do the square first by PEMDAS. X times x is x squared. Product is 2x doubled is 4x. 2 being squared is 4 minus 4. So the 4's cancel. Notice I have a cubic, so it has 3 roots. So we put all terms on the left side in descending order. So all the terms went to the left side in descending order: cube, square, 1 constant. And we have there's 3 possible, 3 solutions for x, but I try to take out, if I take out the x squared here, which is common, I get an x minus 1. If I take out the negative 4, I get an x minus 1. So that's an x minus 1 is GCF, so it's x minus 1. What's left is x squared minus 4. So that's x minus 1. And this is the difference of 2 squares. X squared is x and x. 4 is 4 and 1 are 2 and 2. 2 and 2. And a plus and a minus. Why plus and a minus? Because it's the difference of 2 squares and there's no, the sum in the middle is a 0. So these 2 factors have to add to give you 0. So that means x minus 1 is 0. X plus 2 is equal to 0. Just make sure. And we have x minus 2 is equal to 0. So we can have x is 1, x is negative 2, x is 2. So let's take those values and sub them into whatever one you want to put into. You can put it into this one, or you can put it into cube. So let's plug them into y equals x cubed plus 4. So it's 1 being cubed plus 4. 1 plus 4 gives us 5. So that point is 1 comma 5. Now we'll plug the negative 2 in. X cubed plus 4. X is negative 2. So we get negative 2 cubed is negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. So when x is negative 2, y is negative 4. And we have 2 to plug in. So x is 2. So 2 cubed is 8 plus 4 is 12. So we have x is 2, y is 12. And if you check, these are the inverses of each other. So if you take this point here and sub it back here, they should be okay. So this is 1, 5. So if you put it in here, it's 5, 1. So if x is 5, 5 minus 4 is 1. The cube root of 1 is 1. It makes sense. If you put it in here, the inverse is 5, 1. Put a 5 here, we get 9. 9 minus the square root of 9 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. So that's a check. So these are the 3 answers, and we got 7 marks. So if you got this inverse, you get a mark. If you got this inverse, you get a mark. If you wrote, if you got the equation that came down to right here, you get a mark. And if you brought it down, that's 3 marks. If you brought it right down to here, you get a mark, so that's 4 marks. And for each answer, 1, 2, 3, you get 3 more marks, so 7 in total. 13 for that page. So 13 for that page. What you do, you total up all your pages, and when you got them all totaled up, you put your total over 29, divide 29 into this number, and get a decimal, move your decimal 2 places to the right, and you get a percent. And hopefully the unit on inverses will understand the concept and how it works. And again, if you like my video, click the like button. If you want to be a subscriber to my channel, click the subscribe button. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. That's the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Just one word, Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video helped you. Bye-bye.